was president, we deported millions of people. Remember, the left got mad at him. They called him the deporter-in-chief. What Joe Biden is doing has never been done before. He's simply defying the law. Alejandro Mayorkas is utterly lawless. And he is direct. I'm not disagreeing. He is directly responsible. It is. Now, she is, well, for 4 years she's been the border czar. By the way, how have y'all enjoyed spending time with the border czar? I can't remember. How many times has she been down here? That would be none. The border czar, she doesn't come here. And I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, I was down here. As you know, I spent a lot of time in South Texas. I spent a lot of time in the valley. I try regularly to go out on midnight patrol. With many of you, I've been out on midnight patrol. I will tell you a story. One time, several years ago, Paul, you remember this. There was a stash house, a little bit in from the river. Border Patrol agents came, kicked down the door, and they're pulling out traffickers. I mean, big, scary dudes. These guys are tatted up, rough guys. And the agents are all calling over to me. They're going, "Senator, Senator." I'm going, "Ixnay on the editor's set. Just call me Bob." But these guys do that every day. That's exactly right. But when I was down here one of the last times, a reporter asked me, said, "Well, aren't the policies of the Democrats more compassionate when it comes to immigration?" And you know what I did? I just started laughing. I said, "You know who doesn't believe that anymore? Democrats." And I just asked the reporter, I said, "Where's Joe Biden? Where's Kamala Harris? Where's a single Democrat senator? Where's a single Democrat House member?" They don't come because you can't see what's happening here and defend it. You can't look at the dead bodies. The missing children, the children who've been brutalized, the women who've been sexually assaulted. Look, I've been down here over and over again with farmers and ranchers that just show me body after body they find on their property. You may have seen the last time Mayorkas testified at the Senate Judiciary Committee. I took the opportunity to very gently question. I asked him, I said, "How many migrants died last year crossing into this country?" He said, "I don't know, I have no idea." I said, "Of course you don't. The number is 853, that's from your own agency, but you don't give a damn enough to know the people that are dying because of your policy." I asked him, "How many children have been brutalized by human traffickers?" "I don't know." "How many women have been sexually assaulted?" "I don't know." "How many Americans have died of drug overdoses in the last year?" "I don't know." That number is over 100,000. The highest in history. To put that in perspective, last year we lost nearly twice as many Americans as were killed in the entire Vietnam War. In all of Vietnam, we lost just over 60,000 Americans. We lost 100,000 last year. Now look, y'all know, any good lawyer, if you're asking questions, you never ask a question you don't know the answer to. There was one exchange with Mayorkas that left me utterly flabbergasted. I put up a poster board with pictures of colored wristbands on it. And I asked him, I said, "Please tell the committee what these wristbands are." And Mayorkas looked at me and said, "I have no idea. I've never seen them before." I was truly stunned. And I looked at him and I said, Mr. Secretary, you just told the American people you're utterly incompetent at your job and you don't give a damn enough even to pretend to try. Because what y'all know is just about every illegal immigrant that crosses this country is wearing one of those wristbands. And the colors correspond to how many thousands of dollars they owe the cartels. And if you stand on the banks of the river, you can often see hundreds or even thousands of those wristbands in the grass. And what Mayorkas was saying is that he hasn't stood on the banks of the river, that he hasn't talked to the men and women who theoretically work for him, but he's got a political agenda rather than having the backs of the Border Patrol. And those teenage boys that come in, they turn themselves in, they say where they want to go, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris put them on a plane and put them on a bus and fly them to every city in America. I tell people all the time, I visit cities all over Texas, all over the country, and I say, you may think you're not in a border town. You're wrong. Because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are flying illegal immigrants to your town. And the teenage boys that show up, they owe thousands of dollars to the cartels. And they have to pay that back. If they don't pay the money back, the cartels will kill their families. So they show up in every city in America and they're committing crimes. They're robbing houses, they're carjacking people, they're mugging people, they're selling drugs, they're doing whatever they can to pay the money back so their mother or their abuela doesn't get killed back home. And as you all know, as bad as the teenage boys have it, the teenage girls have it worse. There are thousands upon thousands of teenage girls right now trapped in sex slavery to pay off the debts they owe the cartels. And look, I think about a 15-year-old girl in Honduras looking north, imagining a better life, imagining freedom. And she ends up being handed over to traffickers who violently abuse and violate her every day of her travel north. And then she finds herself in forced sex slavery for years in a living hell. When I look at those colored wristbands, those are modern day leg irons. This is modern day slavery. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Colin Allred are all directly responsible. You know, we'll hear Democrats periodically say, oh, I care. I care. I care about the people being hurt. And my answer is no, you don't. Because if you cared, you'd stop it. You could stop it today. You could stop it tomorrow. You could let these men and women do their damn jobs and we could stop it right now. And the reason Biden and Harris and Allred, the reason they don't is because they look at 11.5 million illegal immigrants and they see future Democrat votes. And so if people have to die, if children have to be brutalized, if women have to be sexually assaulted, all of that is a price they're willing to pay for political power. It is utterly cynical and it is wrong. And look, I'll say this, most of us here are parents. When you've looked in the eyes of a little girl or little boy who you know has been abused over and over and over again, and every one of you has looked in those eyes, it haunts you. When you lay down at night to go to sleep, you still see the eyes of that child. And it's happening over and over again. This is wrong. Now here's the good news, we can fix it. Right. Everything that went wrong with the border happened because of unilateral executive decisions by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That means on January 20th of next year, when Donald Trump is back as president. We will fix this problem. We will secure the border. And mark my words, we've got TV cameras here. In January, it's not going to take a year. It's not going to take 6 months. Within 60 days, we will secure this border. These men and women know how to do their jobs. They are stopped by political hacks. And let's be clear. On any measure, Kamala's worse than Joe Biden. Yeah. Look, Joe Biden doesn't know what time of day it is. He can't tie his shoes. And I'm not sure you'd let him handle the TV remote control. Joe Biden has been a puppet. By the way, every Democrat knew that. Kamala is a true believer. She believes every word of this. You guys know. But look, Kamala Harris sat at a committee hearing and compared ICE to the Ku Klux Klan. That's disgusting. Come vienda. As Reagan said about the left, it's not what they don't know, it's that so much of what they know just isn't so.
Yes, exactly.
Look, Kamala Harris, when the press went crazy with the photograph insisting that the Border Patrol was whipping migrants, that was a lie. Those were reins. Now, I understand to a city girl, she may be confused what reins are. See, horses don't come with a steering wheel. But you actually have leather to pull and direct them which way to go. That story was a lie, and yet Kamala eagerly leaned in and demonized the Border Patrol agents who were doing their jobs. And she still hasn't apologized. You know what? It says something, and she knows it's a lie now. She knew it then. She didn't care.
Bingo.
It was convenient. I'm going to say two things to wrap up. Number one thing to understand about the border. There are political issues on which we have reasonable disagreements. So, if I'm in the Senate and we're talking about tax policy, and look, I served with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, I served with a bunch of whack jobs.
Amazing you're still safe.
So on taxes, they all want to increase taxes. I want to cut taxes, they want to raise taxes. But you know what? In the Senate, we can have a political debate about that. We can go back and forth. They can say it's always the rich need to pay more taxes, yet somehow they always end up sticking it to the middle class when they say they want to do that. But we can actually have that debate, and that's a normal political debate. High taxes, low taxes. Understand at the border, the Democrats don't have another side to this argument. When I lay these facts out in the Judiciary Committee hearings over and over and over again, dozens of times, hundreds of times, it's not like there's a Democrat senator who steps forward and goes, no, Ted's wrong. Ted's wrong. Let me explain what's really happening. They never say that. Here's their strategy. They're just silent. And they're silent because, sadly, they know the corrupt corporate media will be complicit in their silence. Now, if you watch Fox News, you can see what's happening. But if you watch CNN or MSNBC, there is no border crisis. Doesn't exist. Look, Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, truly a professional liar. She stood up and said, people aren't just walking across the border, it's just not happening. Now there's a technical legal term for that. That's called a lie. And by the way, I responded, I said, I'll tell you what, Kareem, come on down with me any day.
Yes.
Pick a day, let's go out, and within an hour, we will encounter someone doing what you said is not happening.
More than one.
Que venga.
And bring the reporters.
Yes.
Look, our objective here is real simple, tell the truth. And in contrast, I want to talk for a minute about my opponent, Colin Allred. I'm not sure we've ever had a candidate who loves open borders more than Colin Allred. So he's right now running TV ads. He's running ads in the valley, saying he's tough on cartels. Look, I'll give him this. He's got a sense of humor. And by the way, there are 254 counties in Texas. He found 2 police officers willing to go on TV and stand next to him. I'm impressed. 254 counties. Somewhere, they were willing to stand up next to him. Colin Allred, his first 4 years in the Senate, voted 100% with Nancy Pelosi. Every single vote. Did not deviate on a single vote. On the border, every single time there has been a vote to secure the border, Colin Allred has voted no.
Wow.
100% of the time. He's voted against legislation to secure the border. He's voted against legislation to build the wall. You want to see how ridiculous it is? There's a bill called the Police Act. Very simple, common sense bill. It says, if an illegal alien violently assaults a police officer, that illegal alien should be deported. Now, by the way, I promise you, go to any city in Texas, gather 50 or 100 Texans in a room and ask them, hey, if an illegal alien beats up a cop, should we deport him? Like any rational person would say, of course we should. Colin Allred voted no. And by the way, do any of y'all here think border security is important? Well, if you do, Colin Allred says you're a racist.
Then I'm a racist.
Here's what Colin Allred says about the border wall. He calls it that racist border wall. And Colin Allred pledges that he will personally tear down that racist border wall. But you know what? He's counting on deception. He's spending, and okay, he cast one vote. It was a resolution saying we have a crisis on the border. And he had this moment of courage where he said, yes, we have a crisis. So he voted yes. That's why he votes against anything and everything that would solve that crisis. This is a fundamental choice. It's a choice about who we are. I'm proud to stand with the men and women of the Border Patrol because you're protecting Texas, you're protecting America, you're protecting my family and my children. It is inspiring to be here in the presence of heroes. And I will tell you this, you're protecting America, and I will always, always have your back. And by the way, I got to give you one other bit of warning. South Texas is turning red. As everyone knows, South Texas, the Valley, has been Democrat for 100 years. But let me tell you, the Hispanic community, the Latino community, our community is a conservative community. What are the values in our community? Faith, family, patriotism, hard work, the American dream. Those are all conservative values. And by the way, look, if you look back, many of you know my dad, Cruz. He's a pastor. He's down here a lot.
Yeah.
My father has talked about, he said, listen, 50 years ago, Texas as a whole was a one-party state. We were all Democrats 50 years ago. And 50 years ago, it wasn't that there was no political disagreement in Texas. There were effectively two parties, conservative Democrats and liberal Democrats. And they had a battle, and that determined who governed Texas. And in those battles 50 years ago, Hispanics were always conservative Democrats. That's who we were. There aren't any conservative Democrats left. The Democrat Party today has gone bat crap crazy. And I'll tell you, look, I talk with Democrats in South Texas all the time, elected Democrats, current elected Democrats, who look at me and say, listen, if my party's for open borders, I can't support that.